Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad you have joined me today for a really important conversation. We are going to take a deep dive into one of the most intriguing and frankly vital geopolitical relationships of our time, the ever strengthening bond between India and Israel. These two ancient nations, separated by vast stretches of geography, yet remarkably united by shared challenges and strategic needs. It's a journey from cautious diplomacy to robust, multifaceted relationship with a significant future outlook that I believe is critically centered on countering the pervasive threat of Islamic jihad. To truly grasp the modern tapestry of India-Israel relation, we must cast our minds back into the mists of antiquity. While our formal diplomatic ties are relatively recent, the threads of connection between these two ancient lands stretch back to millennia. Trade relations can be traced back to 1000 BCE and earlier to the time of Indus Valley civilization of ancient Bharat and Babylonian culture of Israel. A Buddhist story describes Indian merchants visiting Baveru, aka Babylonia. Judea played a role in trade between Roman Empire and ancient India during period of Roman rule in Judea. It is known that there were expensive garments in the temple in Jerusalem imported from India via Alexandria. Now imagine this. Archaeological discoveries like those at Tel Megiddo hint at vibrant trade relations between India and Mediterranean region as early as 2000 BCE. Ancient texts including the Old Testament of Bible even suggest keen knowledge of India, referencing the trade between two regions. This wasn't just about commercial exchange, it was a conduit for cultural diffusion. Think about that for a moment. Ideas, goods, and even beliefs flowing across vast distances thousands of years ago. Excavations at Tel Megiddo, the ancient Israeli city, have revealed artifacts and other findings that point to trade and cultural exchange with ancient India during Bronze Age. While the specific details of these trade relations are still under investigation, the presence of such evidence indicates early contact and interaction between these geographically distant regions. Tel Megiddo, located in northern Israel, was a strategically important city during Bronze and Iron Ages, situated as a major trade route. Perhaps one of the most compelling aspects of this ancient connection is the incredible story of Jewish communities in India. Judaism was actually the first foreign religion to arrive on Indian soil. And here is a truly remarkable part. Unlike so many other parts of the world, Jewish people in India have historically lived without a single instance of persecution at the hands of local Hindu population. Take the Cochin Jews, for example. They trace their origins back to the time of King Solomon in 10th century BCE. Later, the Paradesi Jews arrived in Kochi, right here in my beautiful home state of Kerala, in the 15th and 16th century, seeking refuge from anti-Semitism in Spain. These communities weren't just tolerated, they were embraced, respected, and allowed to maintain their distinct cultural and spiritual identity within India's wonderfully diverse fabric. This unique history, free from the dark shadow of anti Semitism, truly lays one of a kind foundation for this modern relationship, rooted in a shared civilizational respect. Israelis arrived in the state of Maharashtra 900 years ago. Baghdadi Jews arrived in the city of Surat from Iraq and Arab states, Iran and Afghanistan about 250 years ago. Telugu Jews are a small group of Telugu people or Telugu Jewish community and their observance of Judaism dates back to recent history, that is from 1981. Another branch of Bani Israel community reside in Karachi until partition of India in 1947, but they had to flee to India, of course, due to Islamic persecution. Many of them also moved to Israel. The Jews from Sindh, Punjab or Pathan area of Pakistan were also fleeing to India after 1947. In the beginning of the 21st century, new Jewish communities have been established in Mumbai, New Delhi, Bangalore and other prominent Indian cities. These new communities have been established by the Chabad Lubavitch movement, which has sent rabbis to create those communities. These communities serve as a religious and social center for Jewish people who have immigrated to or is visiting India. The largest center is the Nariman House in Mumbai, which was of course notoriously attacked by Islamist terrorists during the Mumbai terrorist attack 2611. Currently there are 33 synagogues in India. Even there are some linguistic similarities between Semitic languages and Indian languages like Sanskrit. Now let's have a look at the modern connection between the two nations. This began quite frankly with a period of significant geopolitical complexity. Both nations gained independence from British rule around the same time, India in 1947 and Israel in 1948. Yet the paths diverged sharply in the immediate post-colonial era. India, as a newly independent nation, grappling with its own painful partition and seeking to assert its autonomy on global stage, became a co-founder and a leading voice of the Non-Alignment Movement or NAM. This policy, driven by a powerful desire to avoid entanglement in Cold War blocs, often led to India siding with the oil-rich Arab world and frankly the Soviet Union, who treated India as an equal. Consequently, India maintained a cautious distance from Israel, especially under Nehru and Congress. You might also recall that India, under Nehru and Indian National Congress, opposed the 1947 UN partition plan for Palestine and even voted against Israel's UN membership in 1949. While India did recognize Israel's sovereignty in 1950 itself, full diplomatic relation came in 1992 only. So what has changed? Well, several factors contributed to this significant shift. The thawing of Cold War and changing global landscape naturally reduced the constraints of non-alignment. But perhaps more crucially, India's own evolving security needs, particularly in the face of cross-border terrorism and a growing desire to modernize our defense capabilities, played a pivotal role. Israel is famous for its advanced military tech and unparalleled experience in counterterrorism, quite naturally emerged as a partner. When RAW, India's Research and Analysis Wing, was founded in September 1968 by R.N. Kao, he was advised to cultivate links with Israel's Mossad. This was suggested as a countermeasure to military links between Pakistan and China as well as with North Korea. Israel was also concerned with Pakistani army officers who were training Libyans and Iranians in handling Chinese and North Korean military equipments. Interestingly, covert ties existed even before formal recognition in 1992. During 1962 Sino-Indian War and 1971 India-Pakistan War, Israel discreetly provided crucial military assistance to India. However, the true turning point, the moment that truly cemented the strategic trust, came with Kargil War in 1999 under then BJP government. Faced with a dire need for ammunition, laser guided bombs, and surveillance drones, India found a steadfast ally in Israel, which provided critical supplies despite immense international pressure, especially from US. This act of solidarity cemented the strategic trust and truly laid the groundwork for burgeoning defense partnership, especially under future BJP-led governments and profoundly under PM Modi. Since 1992, and particularly after PM Modi's historic visit to Israel, a truly landmark moment as the first by an Indian PM, the relationship has absolutely blossomed. In November 2015, the Times of India had reported that agents from Mossad and MI5 were protecting PM Modi during visit to Turkey. Modi was on a state visit to United Kingdom and was scheduled to attend 2015 G20 summit in Turkey. The paper reported that agents had been called in to provide additional cover to Modi's security detail composed of India's Special Protection Group and secret agents from RAW and IB in wake of November 2015 Paris attacks. India is now Israel's largest buyer of military equipment, and Israel in turn is the second largest defense supplier after Russia. This cooperation extends far beyond mere sales. We are seeing a joint venture, critical technology transfer, and collaborative efforts in developing advanced systems, including missile defense, drones, and cybersecurity. Companies like IAI, Elbit Systems, etc., are actively partnering with Indian firms under Make in India initiative. In 2003, Ariel Sharon was the first Israeli Prime Minister to visit India. He was welcomed by BJP-led NDA, Coalition Government of India. Several Indian newspapers, that is, expressed positive views on his visit, and Indian PM Atal Bihari Vajpayee voiced confidence that Sharon's visit would pave the way for further consolidation of bilateral ties. Sharon's visit was, of course, and unsurprisingly, condemned by lefties and Islamist circles. In January, to commemorate 25 years of Indian-Israeli relation, Benjamin Netanyahu and Indian Prime Minister Modi exchanged mutual applauses. The visit by Netanyahu was the first since 2003 visit of Ariel Sharon to India. During this visit, an official commemoration of the Battle of Haifa and the sacrifice of Indian soldiers to protect the Israeli city during World War I also took place. But it is not just about defense. The relationship has expanded into critical sectors like agriculture, water management, science and tech, and innovation. Israel are experts in drip irrigation, water recycling, and climate resilient agriculture. All has significantly benefited the Indian farmers. Joint research and development initiatives such as India-Israel Industrial R&D and Technological Innovation Fund are fostering collab in cutting-edge fields like artificial intelligence, quantum technology, and space. It has truly become a holistic partnership. Perhaps the most compelling and, dare I say, urgent aspect of India-Israeli relationships' future outlook is our shared, unwavering commitment to countering the threat of Islamic jihad. Both nations have been disproportionately affected by cross-border terrorism and radical ideologies, deeply shaping military doctrines, foreign policy, and, of course, global partnerships. Between 1999 Kargil conflict and 2010, India had spent $9 billion on defense purchases from Israel. By 2022, Israel has spent $3.2 billion on crude oil and diamonds purchases from India. Israel provided humanitarian aid to India after the 2001 Gujarat earthquake, which probably worked as a spur for the current Indian PM Modi. In 2009, an international study on the Arab-Israeli conflict revealed that around 58% of Indian respondents sympathized with Israel, and this is the most positive opinion of any country surveyed about Israel. In 2023, a survey revealed that Israelis hold the most favorable views of India among all countries surveyed. According to data, 71% of Israeli respondents expressed a favorable opinion of India. Despite Indian leftist leaders as well as Congress's opposition to Israel in the past, India in 2025 is a strong ally of Israel. India was one of the first countries to condemn the October 7 attack on Israel by Palestinian terrorists. India also abstained from voting in favor of UN resolution as it didn't explicitly condemn Hamas. Israel condemned the Pahalgam terrorist attack on 22nd April 2025 and expressed support for India. On May 7, 2025, Israel publicly praised India's airstrikes on Pakistan, which were launched in retaliation for Pahalgam terrorist attack that targeted exclusively Hindus. For Israel, groups like Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah pose an immediate and existential threat. For India, the parallels are stark. We have faced decades of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism from groups like LET and Jaish-e-Mohammed, as well as the insidious spread of radicalization within the Muslim population of our own borders. Both our nations understand the fluid, decentralized nature of these organizations and the long-term sustained struggle required to dismantle their jihadist ecosystems. This shared vulnerability has spurred deep collab in counterterrorism. Joint working groups on counterterrorism, intel sharing, and joint military training has become common between India and Israel. Since the 2023 Hamas-led attack on Israel, India has reportedly been providing significant military assistance to Israel. One key area of support has been the provision of Hermes 900 drones. Looking ahead, the potential for cooperation in countering Islamic Jihad is immense and, of course, multifaceted. Continuous satellite-based intelligence, surveillance, and recon collaboration can provide real-time tracking of terror camps and drone launch points. This isn't just my theory, it is actually happening. India's increasing willingness to openly support Israel on global stage, abstaining or siding with Israel on contentious issues in international forums, signals a decisive policy shift. This strategic alignment strengthens the collective voice against state-sponsored Islamist terrorism and other radical ideologies. India, a nation known for its pluralism and ancient traditions of tolerance, has for decades faced a relentless campaign of Islamist terrorism, often emanating from across the western border. The list of atrocities is long and deeply etched into our national psyche. One of the most horrific examples in modern times comes to mind is, of course, the 2008 Mumbai attacks, often referred to as 26/11. 10 Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists arriving by sea from Pakistan unleashed a coordinated assault across the city. Over 4 horrifying days, they systematically targeted hotels, railway station, Jewish community center, the Chabad house, hospitals, and other public places, killing 166 people, including many foreign nationals, and injuring hundreds more. The sheer brutality of this attack, coupled with its undeniable Pakistani origin, sent shockwaves through the world and highlighted the truly global nature of the Islamist threat. Beyond India and Mumbai has suffered countless other attacks. We remember the 2001 Indian Parliament attack, a direct assault on India's democracy, where JEM and LET terrorists attempted to storm the Parliament building. The 2016 Pathankot airbase attack and the 2019 Pulwama suicide bombing, both perpetrated by Pakistani groups, further underscored the continuous agonizing challenge that India has faced. Also, we must not forget about the harrowing experience of the Kashmiri Pandits. In the late 80s and 90s, as Islamist insurgency gained ground in Kashmir Valley, this indigenous Hindu minority faced a brutal campaign of violence, intimidation, essay, and forced displacement. Militant groups with explicit backing of Pakistan issued chilling threats through mosques, pasted warnings on Pandit homes, and engaged in targeted killings of prominent community members. Slogans like "Convert to Islam, Leave or Die" became a terrifying reality for those people. This systematic persecution led to the mass exodus of hundreds of thousands of Kashmiri Pandits who became refugees in their own countries, losing their homes, livelihoods, and, more importantly, a millennia old culture and heritage. The forced displacement constituted a dark chapter of ethnic cleansing, undeniably driven by radical Islamist ideology. These events truly underscore the profound communal and existential threat posed by such group to India's very fabric. And these aren't just isolated incidents, they represent a sustained strategy of creating instability, fostering sectarian tensions, and disrupting India's progress. Islamist terror in India also manifests in the insidious form of radicalization within Islamic communities and targeted killings of non-Islamic individuals perceived as so-called blasphemous or infidels. Now let's have a look at Israel. This is a nation born out of profound historical trauma. Israel has lived under constant shadow of Islamic terrorism since its very inception. For decades, groups like Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Hezbollah have waged a relentless campaign of violence, employing tactics ranging from horrific suicide bombings to endless rocket attacks. The Second Intifada from 2000 to 2005 in particular saw a devastating surge in suicide bombings targeting Israeli civilians on buses, in cafes, at markets, and in shopping malls. Events like the Dolphinarium discotheque bombing in 2001, the Park Hotel bombing in 2002 during Passover Seder, and numerous bus bombings in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv became grim reminders of this pervasive threat. These attacks were aimed to sow fear, paralyze daily life, and derail any prospect of peace within Israel. More recently, the October 7, 2023 atrocities perpetrated by Hamas represent an unprecedented scale of barbarity. Thousands of Hamas terrorists breached Israeli border, massacred over 1,200 people, including women, children, and the elderly, and took hundreds of hostages, including babies. This attack, characterized by extreme violence, sexual assault, and deliberate targeting of civilians, fundamentally altered Israel's security calculus and starkly showcased the extreme ideology of Islamic terrorist group. And let's not forget the constant rocket attacks from Gaza has become a feature of Israeli life, forcing millions into shelters and necessitating advanced defense systems like the Iron Dome. The parallel experiences of suffering at the hands of Islamist extremism have naturally driven India and Israel into an increasingly close and open partnership in counter-terrorism. The shared threat has also led to significant shift in India's diplomatic posture. India has moved from its historical non-aligned stance to openly and unequivocally condemning terrorism in its all forms, often aligning with Israel on international platforms. You might recall that when Biden administration briefly paused certain offensive weapon shipments to Israel, it was India that stepped in and filled that gap. Our Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar's statement in Parliament was a direct response to questions about military cooperation with Israel amidst the conflict in Gaza. He articulated that India's export decisions, including those with military implications, are strictly guided by our national interest. Furthermore, he emphasized India's adherence to various international agreements, which is multilateral export control regime for conventional arms and dual-use goods and technologies. This clearly indicates India's position that our arms trade practice are in line with global norms. It is also worth noting that Indian Supreme Court had previously dismissed a petition seeking to halt arms sales to Israel, suggesting a legal backing as well. While the Indian government has maintained a discreet posture, questionable sources like Al Jazeera and Middle East Eye have claimed otherwise. The Middle East Eye report, for example, specifically alleged that an Indian defense company was involved in co-producing the Arabel AI weapon system, which is reportedly utilized by Israeli army to enhance targeting accuracy. These allegations, although not officially confirmed by India, do point to a deeper involvement in Israel's defense industrial base. Jaishankar also powerfully underscored the historical and ongoing robust security cooperation between India and Israel. He noted that Israel has been a consistent supporter of India during periods of national security threats, implying a reciprocal relationship while mutual assistance is not just expected but truly vital. It has become common knowledge that India and Israel has discreet defense cooperation long before formal diplomatic ties were established in 1992, especially concerning counterterrorism and specialized military training. This isn't new, it is an evolution. Finally, I want to touch upon our significant space collab. This cooperation gained formal footing with framework agreement signed in 2002. A prominent early example was India's successful launch of Texar, Israel's first synthetic aperture radar (SAR) imaging satellite, on an Indian PSLV in 2008. This was a crucial event for Israel as it provided them with enhanced recon capabilities, particularly for monitoring regional security concerns like Iran's military activities, while demonstrating India's cost-effective and reliable launch services, which Israel found appealing over its own Shavit launcher. Beyond launches, the collab has deepened into more complex areas of tech development. A key project has been the cooperation on electric propulsion systems (EPS) for small satellites, with a memorandum of understanding signed in 2017 and a feasibility study successfully completed by 2018 aiming for in-orbit tests. Both nations are also exploring advanced areas like Earth observation, space science, satellite navigation, and space situational awareness. Recent discussions have also focused on launching more Israeli satellites on Indian launchers and the potential for collaborations in cutting-edge fields like quantum technologies and AI in space application, leveraging Israel's innovation prowess and India's cost-effective production capabilities. Following the global medical emergency situation, on 9th April 2020, India exported to Israel a 5-ton shipment of drugs and chemicals. Israel also conducted a recruitment drive in India, which is currently going on, to address its growing demand for skilled construction workers. This initiative is facilitated by government-to-government agreement and is focused on recruiting up to 10,000 Indian workers. Israel also awarded exploration license to Indian oil companies, and this shows a clear sign in the ongoing diversification in ties between the two. In a sense, my friends, the tragic experiences of Islamist terrorism, including the agonized forced exodus of Kashmiri Pandits for India and the relentless anti-Semitism and massacres for Israel, have forged a deeply empathetic and a clear strategic imperative for the two nations to work hand in hand.